Okay, this is a meeting of the Economic Development Power Allocation Board for December 9th, 2019. My name's Eugene Nicandri. I'm chairman of this particular board. I'd like to welcome the other members of the board, Dennis Traynor and Andrew Silver. I'd also like to welcome the Power Authority staff members who are present in the White Plains office. This is a scheduled board meeting which has been duly noticed as required by the open meetings law of the state of New York. And I call the meeting to order under the bylaws of the Economic Development Power Allocation Board. We will begin with the adoption of the proposed agenda, which has been circulated to the members of the board. And I would ask if any of the members of the board have any amendments to the proposed agenda. If they do, they would need to be moved, seconded, and adopted. If there are no amendments, then I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The agenda is adopted. The next item is approval of the minutes of the September 24, 2019 meeting of this board. I would ask whether there are any motions to amend the minutes which have been circulated as well. If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve the September 2019 meeting minutes.
So moved.
It's been moved. Can I have a second? Second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The minutes are approved. Excuse me, the board members were polled prior to the meeting regarding any conflicts or appearance of conflicts, and there were none. The next item is the adoption of the 2020 proposed meeting schedule, which is designed to give some structure to the calendar year. And of course, as you know, we would remain flexible on those as they approach that date. But I'd ask for a motion to approve the 2020 meeting schedule that has been circulated.
So moved.
It's been moved. Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carries. That meeting schedule is adopted. Next, I would call on Keith Hayes to present the Recharge New York Power Program new allocations. Keith?
Good morning, Judge Nicandri, board members, and Andrew Silver and Dennis Traynor. Welcome today, and good morning to all in attendance today. The board is requested to recommend that the trustees award 15 allocations of Recharge New York large business retention, large business expansion, small business, and not-for-profit based power to 12 applicants. 32 applications were evaluated for this period, all of which were submitted through the state's consolidated funding application system. The applications included both retention and expansion-based power allocation requests, in addition to requests from small businesses and not-for-profit organizations. As in the past, applications were evaluated on a competitive basis in consideration of the 12 criteria in the recharge legislation. I won't read through the 12 criteria, I'm sure you're all familiar with it. Each application was evaluated and scored, with Regional Economic Development Council providing input by scoring each applicant in their region relative to 2 of the 12 legislative criteria. The council scores comprise 20% of an application's total score. Prior to today's recommendations, please note that 105.3 megawatts are available to allocate out of 610 megawatts that are set aside for large business retention purposes. 87.2 megawatts are available to allocate out of the 200 megawatts that are set aside for large business expansion purposes. And 0.4 megawatts are available to allocate out of the 100 megawatts that are set aside for small business and not-for-profit purposes. Today's recommendations consist of 15 allocations totaling 6.5 megawatts of Recharge New York power. This includes the following: 2 large business retention allocations totaling 0.9 megawatts and supporting 70 jobs, 5 large business expansion allocations totaling 5.2 megawatts and supporting the creation of over 170 new jobs, and 8 small business and not-for-profit based allocations totaling 0.4 megawatts and supporting nearly 90 jobs. If today's 15 recommended allocations are approved, 104.4 megawatts will remain available to allocate for large business retention purposes. 82 megawatts will remain available to allocate for large business expansion purposes. And small business and not-for-profit applicants will essentially be fully allocated at this time. Accordingly, a waiting list has been established for small business and not-for-profit applicants, and they will be reevaluated as additional power becomes available and held in rank order. The awarded applicants will be offered Recharge New York contracts for a term of up to 7 years. The contract has provisions for the partial or complete withdrawal of an allocation if the recipient fails to maintain mutually agreed upon commitments relating to, among other things, employment, power, utilization, and capital investment commitments. In summary, the board is being asked today to recommend that the trustees approve 15 Recharge New York large business retention, large business expansion, and small business and not-for-profit based allocations. This item is submitted for your approval. I'd be happy to take any of your questions.
Keith, I have two questions, but I guess it's combined in one. Can you just refresh us on the rationale for why these allocations are capped at 50% of the requested amount and not more than 10 megawatts? What's the rationale behind that criteria?
Great question, Judge. So the rationale is it's a limited pool of power, and as you know, there are many, many businesses in the state of New York. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to provide the maximum allocations to the maximum number of businesses in the state while still providing a meaningful benefit. So that's the rationale behind the 50, up to 50% and the cap at 10 megawatts. And for an expansion project, it's actually up to 70% of the allocation.
Do you have any sense as to what 50% of the requested allocation does to their, whatever the company is, their electric rates? Do you have any sense as to how that assists them in?
I do. Another great question. So last year, if we looked at the savings from the program for the customers who have been taking down power for the class year 2018, I want to say it was about $55 million in annual savings across the state. So again, significant benefits to over 700 businesses throughout the state.
Any of the other members have any questions for Keith?
Judge.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion to approve the recommendation as to Recharge New York Power Program new allocations.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Keith, Recharge New York extensions.
Yes, this next item is regarding allocation extensions. Today, the board is requested to recommend that the trustees approve contract extensions for 3 allocations of Recharge New York Power to existing customers, and to recommend that the trustees approve modifications to the awarded amounts and/or supplemental commitments of previously approved Recharge New York extension allocations. All applications were submitted again through the CFA, the state's consolidated funding application system. An extension component was added to the Recharge New York application to allow existing customers to apply through the CFA for contract renewals. Remember, the program started in 2012. They're 7-year terms. In year 5, we started the contract renewal process. The extension applications were evaluated on a competitive basis, again, in consideration of the 12 criteria indicated in the Recharge New York Power legislation. Today's extension recommendations consist of 3 allocations totaling 0.3 megawatts of Recharge New York Power. Collectively, these extension recommendations will support over 300 jobs and $3 million in capital investment commitments. Today's modification recommendations consist of previously approved Recharge New York extension allocations requiring adjustments to the awarded amounts and/or supplemental commitments. The awarded applicants will be offered Recharge New York contract extensions, again, for a term of up to 7 years. The contract has provisions for the partial or complete withdrawal of an allocation if the recipient fails to maintain mutually agreed upon commitments relating to, among other things, employment, power utilization, and capital investment commitments. In summary, the board is being asked today to recommend that the trustees approve contract extensions for 3 allocations of Recharge New York Power to existing customers, and to recommend that the trustees approve adjustments to the awarded amounts and/or supplemental commitments associated with previously approved Recharge New York extension allocations. Again, this item is submitted for your approval. I'd be happy to take any of your questions.
Can I just wait a minute here? Karen, we seem to have lost on the video anyway of Dennis.
Chairman, we will work to get him back on, so we can hold off for a few seconds
Okay.
before voting.
You want to reconnect the room?
Seem to have lost Andy too.
Yes, they're working on it, Judge.
Don't lose me.
That would be a disaster.
Okay, there's one.
Andy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. We're waiting for Dennis to reconnect here.
Okay.
You do a dial in. You have to dial in.
We need him on video, though.
You dial in. That's the connection.
There it is. Yep. Okay.
Okay, Dennis.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody have any questions of Keith about the extensions on the Recharge New York power allocations?
No questions.
Keith, do you have any analysis as to how many started out with us 5 to 7 years ago, and what percentage are still with us under these allocations, extensions?
Another great question. I don't have that on the tip of my mind, but do we know what the numbers are, Emily or Yale?
We've extended about 400 customers so far. So
Judge, we've extended about 400 plus original customers at this point. So quite a bit, but we can get you the actual statistics for attrition. I would suggest, though, that the attrition rate is very low in this program.
What would you estimate the percentage to be?
At this
90s?
point, I could. At this point, I couldn't because we still have some of the original applicants or recipients that are still going through the process.
it's high though.
But it's high. I would say it's above 80 at this point.
Yeah, and we'll provide a report next year, the effectiveness.
And just as a reminder, Judge, that in the new year we will provide a report. It's a report that's due to the governor and the legislature that will indicate those exact amounts.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions of Keith?
No.
If
No.
not, I'd ask for a motion to approve the extensions that he referred to.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is a transfer of power program allocations. Keith?
Thank you, Judge. This item requests the board to approve the transfers of Recharge New York power allocations for 2 customers, each of whom are experiencing business changes necessitating such transfers. Specifically, transfer of 136 kilowatt Recharge New York power allocation awarded to Comtech Telecommunications Corp., also known as Comtech, for use at 105 Bayless Road, Melville, New York, to Comtech PST Corp., in order to address organizational changes. Also, transfer of a 196 kilowatt Recharge New York power allocation awarded to Silicon Carbide Projects, Inc. for use at its facilities located at 361 Daniel Zenker Drive, Horseheads, New York, to Silicon Carbide Products, Inc., also known as SCP, in order to address organizational changes as well. The transfers, which are conditioned on subsequent approval by the authority, will result in no material reduction in the base employment levels and capital investment commitments associated with the allocations, and each will be addressed in contract documents containing such terms and conditions determined by the authority to be appropriate to effectuate each transfer. Again, this item is submitted for your approval. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions of Keith on this item?
No.
No questions?
Can I have a motion to approve the recommendation then?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. I believe that completes the agenda, except for the next meeting of this board is scheduled for January 27, 2020, via video conference. Look forward to seeing you all then. Everyone have a nice holiday season and a happy new year. Thank
You
you.
as well.
Happy holidays to you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Meeting, motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Karen.